October 2024, I weighed 215 pounds. This is about the highest that I've been, and so far I have lost 45 pounds. Let me tell you, it hasn't been easy. There's been a lot of lulls and pauses, and to think that this drug makes you lose weight overnight is not true. It's really hard, especially when you deal with an autoimmune disease and you're on some medications. I have struggled with my weight for such a long time. I've been over 200 pounds for the past few years. The last time I weighed what I weigh now was about 5 years ago. I will warn you, this journey is so slow. And I know it's a big number now, but literally month to month, sometimes it would be 1 pound or 2, or it would go up a pound. I'm just going to share my own personal experiences. I'm going to break down how much weight I lost per month. I'll also clue you in a little on my story, and hopefully this can help inform y'all if you have any curiosities or questions. At the end of the day, you get to choose what you do with your body, and I always want to create the safest space and the non-judgment free zone. Know me. Hi, I'm Janine. One of the reasons that I haven't been making content is because it's really hard to look at yourself on a camera or to edit something when you don't feel like you look like yourself, or you feel embarrassed or ashamed. When you grow up with social media, always having that comparison in your head and then acknowledging all the things that come with aging, or of course seeing other people and how they look in social media. Regardless, I did want to come back and share my story, and I genuinely hope it helps at least one person. Please note, I'm not a medical professional nor a doctor, so I'm just going to share my own experiences and what I've learned. I've created content for a really long time, ever since I was a teenager. I grew up with Tumblr and MySpace, I blogged, I streamed, I failed, I learned. I tried really hard to make videos despite me feeling cringy on the inside and just feeling nervous as hell. But I'm really passionate about helping people. I'm really passionate about sharing my health journey and just expressing myself. After being diagnosed with psoriasis and having it eventually turn into psoriatic arthritis, all under the age of 30, I've just been struggling with my weight for a really long time, especially after going to college and being not super active and going through some really stressful life situations. I think all of those things in combination really made it difficult to lose weight, and it'd be super easy to gain weight. Like, I've seen nutritionists and I've talked to several doctors, and one of my doctors actually suggested that I try the GLP-1s, and honestly it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made. These drugs were more accessible or known about when I was younger. One of the biggest reasons why the nutritionist and the doctor I was working with suggested this drug is because I literally spent almost a decade dealing with psoriasis and arthritis and being overweight. Literally been several years, like 3, 4, 5 years of being over 200 pounds at like a 5'6"-ish body. I don't know how much of that is in my organs. I don't know how much of that is making my joints hurt more. And I already have joints that are destroyed or altered because of my psoriatic arthritis. And for me and my body, I just knew I'm not in a position to gamble with it anymore. Like, not that I was gambling before, but I knew that if I continued to be overweight, it would significantly affect my joints and hurt them. And it's so weird because I had to navigate accepting myself in my overweight body, feeling worthy enough to make the effort to try something, to be more active, to eat more healthy, to give myself like the love that I believe I deserved. For context, I grew up in a very strict Asian American family. It's Asian American, so little bits of both cultures. Also adding the juxtaposition of your family being like, oh, you're so skinny, you should eat more, you need to eat, and then you do eat, and then you're like, wait, you gained so much weight, stop eating, you need to be dieting, no more for you. Like, ugh. I'm like, y'all, growing up the solution was like, oh, just quit soda, just quit sugar, and you'll be good. Easy. As you may know, it's never that easy. If it was, everyone would just stop. So there could be some elements of addiction playing in here, but because that's how I grew up, I just didn't want to continue with those mindsets. I didn't want to approach it from a place of shame and guilt, because Lord knows that did not work for me. If anything, it made me worse. It stressed me out. And then being stressed also affects your cortisol levels and your mood and your health and your weight, or your joints and your pain, your inflammation. It's literally all connected. I truly think mental health is a very big component to all of this. Dealing with the mental health to even freaking start despite all the shame and criticism out there about people who choose to use these drugs, because truly I didn't want to waste my youth in a sense. Like, I already feel sad that in my 20s I wasn't able to enjoy that as much because of my health journey. I don't want to compare my journey to others, and I am so grateful to be able to be walking again, to be able-bodied, to be able to be here, to be able to do things. So I'm trying to just make the most of it. Sometimes when I look in the mirror, I don't always see the difference. Like, yes, I've lost 45 pounds, but sometimes it feels like I only lost half. But when I look at photos, it really does remind me of how far I've come. Some months I literally lost 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 1 pound, 0. And some of those pauses either are attributed to the holidays or to medicine shortages or me changing companies. I used to use Mochi Health, now I use Good Life Meds. One thing I do want to stress is for the months where I did break those plateaus, like I mentioned, I started Invisalign, so I was able to do 1 meal a day. So that really helped push me to break that plateau. And I've honestly been kind of teetering around the 170 range for the past few months. I haven't been working out as much and I have been very stressed. I'm trying to remind myself it's not a race. Like, I don't mind it being super slow or slower. Of course, I want it to go faster. Adding more context, my hair's a little frizzy at the moment and I'm editing, but I wanted to take a minute to talk about my statistics of how much actual inches I've lost. And weight loss doesn't quite just happen in one place, it actually happens all over the body. And for my body, this is what I've lost so far. I'll show the infographics on the screen of the before and the after. And it's actually really surprising. I almost forgot that you lose inches, not just pounds, and sometimes it's nice to see that because the weight on the scale doesn't always reflect your actual progress or how you feel. So I really think that's super important to be mindful of. So since then, I have lost about 1 inch on my neck. I didn't realize you could lose that much. Also, I don't know. I know, right? 5.5 inches on my shoulders, 1 inch on my bicep, 6-ish inches on my chest. I feel like that's a sad thing a little, but I know that some of it is just fat, so it's good that it's not there. And I also lost about 6 inches on my stomach, 2 inches on my thighs, and about 1 inch on my calves. So I actually have this via an app called Renfo. It's like a smart measuring tape. I'll show a picture on the screen so you can kind of get it, and then I'll put links on the description below. And none of these are sponsored. The last thing I want to add is that this video is going to be really long and really in-depth, so I tried my best to separate it in chapters that are easily digestible. I don't script my videos. I really try not to because I want to speak as if we're just having a conversation, and unfortunately, because I don't plan this all ahead of time, it's a little scattered, so sorry if there's a lot of cuts. And back to the main video. I wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit more about goals and goal setting. I do have an overall goal that I want to hit, which is around 130, which is supposed to be the average for my BMI. However, I do know that that might change with muscle, that might change because of my cultures, especially because BMI isn't always 100% accurate. And I also don't really think about my goal as in like, oh, I have to hit this number. I'm really trying to take it day by day. So in fact, what I do is I kind of set overall goals for like the next month or two. It's not a hardcore deadline, but I just know that instead of my overall goal of losing 30 pounds, I'm breaking it down by losing 5 pounds, by losing 10 pounds. And then once I hit that, then I feel good and I reset, and I can then think about what else I need to do if I want to keep pushing that. And then also think about how I feel, because that's the most important to me. Because sometimes, especially in the beginning, it would feel so overwhelming to think, oh my god, I have like 80 pounds to lose. I'm 80 pounds overweight. How the hell am I going to do that? But by breaking it down into SMART goals, I think it was like small, something attainable. Can't remember the acronym. So for example, when I was over 200 pounds, my first goal was getting into Wonderland. And that's what people call it, like Wonderland, get it? Like 100s. And I have to really remind myself that I can't get to my goal weight until I hit my mini goals. Like, I can't get at my dream body until I get to my slightly more dream body, but not perfect body. Like, in order to go from 215 to 170, where I am today, I have to get to 210, and I have to get to 200, and then I have to get to 190, and so on and so forth. And I really had to try and focus and learn to love myself. All the previous versions of myself, like, this person was brave enough to start and was brave enough not to give up. I look at the photos and sometimes it's really cringy and it's hard, but I have to have compassion because I understand that she is a badass. And she is a badass, and I am a badass, but a shy, bubbly badass, but still. Like, you are a badass. The fact that you are trying to learn and you're hearing other people's experiences and you're considering what would work for your body, like, that's freaking awesome. Like, it's so important that we remember who we are and that we do deserve to feel loved and to feel healthy and to be healthy and to eat a healthier weight. I think that sometimes no matter how much you diet or exercise, your body just might be storing extra weights or holding on for dear life or whatever you're eating. Like, I tried fasting and intermittent fasting only, and while I was successful in the short term, it was actually really hard to keep it steady. I tried fasting a lot, and that ranged from intermittent fasting to water fasting to dry fasting. I struggled with 16 hours. Sometimes I tried to do 7-day fast, but I ended up only being able to do 23 hours, and that the last hour I kind of like broke down and ate McDonald's or whatever random bad fast food. I also did try keto, and I did that successfully for a month. I did manage to lose 10 pounds. I went from 210 to 200, but I found that really hard to sustain. I watched several health channels, and I really tried to focus on fasting like a girl and trying to adhere to my cycle. And I do think intermittent fasting is really good, and maybe there are benefits to prolonged fasting for like a day or even longer. But personally, I found that very hard, especially before taking this medication. Like, now I don't have that food noise anymore, so it's a little bit easier. But regardless, my body still suffers when I fast and fast for a long time. I just thought maybe if I could do a 30-day fast, I might be able to lose 20-30 pounds easily. But the reality is that fasting is not easy. And for some people, it might be easier, but I had a really hard time with that. And as I tried to do that more, I think for me, it just created this cycle of yo-yoing that didn't feel good and didn't work. I don't know if it's just a lack of discipline or maybe that's just not the thing for me, because I do know that it works for many people, but a combination of either the foods I was craving or just feeling weak and not having the energy to do any work or to socialize, like just feeling that fatigue or no motivation, it didn't feel great. When I started the medication, they usually start you at a low dose and they slowly increase it depending how you react. There are some side effects, and usually that's like a little bit of nausea or you might be a little tired. I did have some of the side effects, but when I started the medication, I actually immediately felt that food noise, as you call it, or like the urge to have a lot of food, really dial down. And actually, it was so much to the point that I felt like I could probably fast the whole day if I wanted to. So after telling this to my doctor, they were like, maybe let's just keep you there for a while. When I started in October 2024, I was 215, and then in November 2024, I was 213, and then December, I became 211.5. It was really surprising because during these first 3 months, I didn't change anything. Like, I didn't even work out truly. I was just using the medications. But the medication was working such that it suppressed my appetite and it just helped me portion control better. Fast forward to 2025, the last year basically. I think that's when most of the changes started to happen. But as you can see, some months I lost only 1 pound and other months I lost several. I will say, after the first few months of being on the medication, I realized that without exercising or trying to be more active in general, my weight loss stalled pretty hard. And it is generally recommended when you start this type of medication to like incorporate exercise and moving and better foods. So I did try to do that. And one of the other biggest things that helped me was starting Invisalign, or a version of Invisalign. When I started having Invisalign, it actually was a little painful and it was really annoying removing the thing from my mouth, and just the process of doing that to have a snack every time got really tedious, especially in the beginning. I'm like, now it's a little bit easier, but but it's still a little annoying nonetheless. But I do think Invisalign truly helped me fast longer. So I tend to skip breakfast, and especially with having Invisalign, it was just really easy to not take it out until lunch, until I'm not able to fast anymore. So I was actually able to do intermittent fasting for quite a bit, and I still do that today. I basically did 1 meal a day for a month. It started becoming 2 meals a day, but I just know every time when it comes to fasting, I'm like, oh, I wish I could do so many hours, and then I can't, but it ends up being a good amount anyway. So in August 2025, to get from 193 to 185, That was actually when I started doing 1 meal a day. So prior to that, I was just trying to eat healthier. I was trying to walk more and go to the gym a little bit. And slowly but surely, by just being consistent and continuing the medication, including having lulls in the medication, either from different shipping days or the company I used was being really annoying and not being as responsive, I was still able to make steady progress. I think it's important to remember too that different life events tend to slow down things as well. So if you're really, really stressed or having poor sleep, I think that can really make an impact. And I know for me, that's also partially the reason why some of the numbers might be either higher or lower depending on how I'm feeling. Some other context I want to add is about my fear of needles. So besides my medication for my psoriatic arthritis, which I go to get help with from a nurse, for mounjaro or tirzepatide, in order to be able to do that, there are ways to get a nurse to help you, but I found that very difficult. So I had to push myself to get over my fear of injections and giving myself that injection. It's honestly still really hard. I have to remind myself I've been doing it for literally years now, but just the thought of putting something, the thought of doing that, especially usually is in your stomach, and some people do it in their arms or their thighs. I haven't tried that yet. And as my stomach is shrinking, I'm like, it's getting closer. Which is a good problem to have. At first, when I started doing the medication, I used ice to numb the area and then afterwards gave myself a shot. I think it kind of helped, but not enough to keep doing that because it was really tiring. And then over time, I would put a talk show on or just try to distract myself. And sometimes it's just a hit or a miss. Apparently there are nerves everywhere and you might just poke it and it might hurt more than other times. Sometimes it feels literally like nothing and I have to double check to be like, did it go in? Like, did anything fall on the floor? Luckily, that hasn't happened yet. I know they sell tools that can help, and obviously if you do get mounjaro, like the official brand name from the provider, they come in a pen, which I imagine is easier. However, because I don't do that, I had to kind of really mentally process that fear and try to keep tackling it. I tend to get nauseous even thinking about this just because I really dislike this process. And there are some days where I just get really frustrated that I need to do this. And I say need because, like, I guess need isn't the best word, but like I want to do this, but I wish it wasn't through that method. But again, I think it's just a small price to pay. They also sell a tool, like a vibrating device that you can basically use to distract your body. Because as much as I can like scratch really hard on one side while I do the injection, I still know I'm doing that. Whereas if someone else does it, it's a little bit easier to kind of dissociate. Sometimes it just feels a little difficult, so I just try to remind myself like it's okay, it might hurt a little bit, it's not that deep. I literally have a layer of fat. Like, it's okay. It'll be fine. So if you also have a fear of needles, I think it is possible to get through or to try to make it easier. Obviously, it depends per person, but I am really grateful that I pushed myself past that fear. There have also been times where I just didn't feel like I was in the mood to take the medicine. I know that kind of sounds bad, but either I was really, really stressed, or I was going out or doing something, or I was feeling dread about the actual shot. So I would delay it by a day or 2 days or 3 days. And it ended up that I delayed it for like a week at some point. So that may have caused some stalls, I'm not sure. So I truly haven't been feeling that many side effects. Again, mostly it's nausea. There might be fatigue, but I'm not sure if it's just from the medicine or from something else. And I know even from my medicine for psoriatic arthritis, I was scared about the side effects, and especially the serious ones for mounjaro or tirzepatide. And ultimately, just like my other medication, I have chosen that the trade-offs for being able to lose weight more easily and to have that weight lost is worth it for me despite the serious side effects, which are very rare. So I'm hoping it doesn't evolve into that. I can say I have tried many other methods and it just hasn't worked, and this one has been working and it's been sustainable. I know it's scary, especially when we don't quite understand how these different things work. Like, it's truly beyond my brain, but I know there's a lot of research that has been done and it's been helping a lot of people, including myself, so I'm just really happy and I am glad I made that choice for me. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about the drug itself, and unfortunately there's a lot of shame as well about people who take it and thinking of it as either a shortcut or you're cheating or it's just a fad. But ultimately I made this decision for my health because I wanted to be as healthy as possible. I know how hard it's been to lose weight. I think it's really hard to do a super clean diet in general, and when I did an allergy test there were so many things that were rated high on the list, and I just remember talking to a nutritionist and she was like, what can you eat? I'm like, I don't know. I basically have to eat like a rabbit, which isn't bad, but I was only able to do that when I was being cared for by my family when I dislocated my knee. And even then, while I was grateful I was able to lose a lot of weight during that time, sometimes it's unsustainable to do that, at least for myself. Regarding the allergy test, so I actually was seeing a naturopathic doctor, which is basically a holistic doctor who has an MD but also believes in Eastern medicine and other things. I have different thoughts about that, especially because of my condition and the solutions of them suggesting for me to go gluten-free and to avoid 90% of foods that are very hard to ignore. That'll be for a different video. And I'm sure that it could have worked, maybe, and it did help again when I was disabled and did not have much choices to eat anything else. There's just some foods that I just didn't feel comfortable giving up. Like, I really like fries, I really like fast food, I don't like counting calories, I don't like beholding myself to a specific time to eat. So like I said, I've been able to skip breakfast and it's actually been easier because of the medication eliminating that food noise. But I'm trying to go off of how I feel. I know there's a thing called intuitive eating, and I don't know which method is the best out there. I know I've heard criticisms for both that and the alternative, which is what most people do, but I found that I had a very unhealthy relationship with food. I used to feel a lot of guilt for eating the foods that I loved, and I didn't want to be in that place where I would shame or guilt myself. One of the nutritionists that I watched, she really helped me just practice self-forgiveness and think about, okay, I'm not gonna subtract something and like take away that thing. I'm just going to add broccoli, or I'm going to add more veggies. And I really, really appreciated that mindset. I also really appreciated her advice about cravings, where she was saying if you're craving an Oreo and you have 10 healthier things that try to fulfill the craving of the Oreo, basically she was saying just eat the Oreo and like have one and be done with it, or have a few, or allow yourself to have that. It's a little hard when you play in food addiction or sugar or cravings and stuff like that. Like, I'm not sure how it was for my body exactly, because sometimes it could be hard to just have one and it could be easy to kind of keep the cycle going. But for me, I just didn't want to be feeling bad for enjoying something that's really yummy, even though I know it's not the best for me. Like, I'm making a trade-off by enjoying that Oreo instead of broccoli, but I'm going to try to maybe offset that choice by working out more or having more broccoli the next day. And even with the allergy test, one of the nutritionists looked at the results and she really questioned what I can eat, because several things were in the red or the yellow. And while there are some people who can do that, and I applaud them, and they're really amazing at being able to not eat certain things, or they can eat the same thing every day, I am not one of those people. Like, it's really hard. Like, yes, I can have cravings for something and eat it like 20 times, but after that I might get sick of it. Everything is so individualistic. I'm still able to enjoy the foods that I really love that might not be the healthiest, including like fried foods, fast foods, whatever. But I do remember before I started, like, I would get a whole large meal from fast food, but then now I can only finish like a medium meal. And part of the reason is how the drug works, because it basically slows down the processing of food. It also helps adjust different hormones in your body that control how hungry you feel. Right now I'm in the process of trying to incorporate more activity, and then also just trying to get all the rest of my life in order and organized so I can focus on my health. Because that's the thing I think we forget about, how much all the other components make a difference. Like, it's literally not just food and activity. You have your work, your friends, your family, your interpersonal goals, your period or your cycle, big deadlines, work events, personal events. There's so many factors that go into our lives. One thing I am grateful for is this medicine has really helped me give more time and energy into that and worry less about always making the perfect food choices or having to be like super, super active. Because truly before I wouldn't eat that many calories. It'd literally be like 800, 900, 1,000. Sometimes I would be fasting and then I break the fast and I have like one meal with one sugary drink that I would normally get, and that was enough for my weight to go up or to not change. I want to interject because I've been working on this video for a while and I really want to make it good. So I want to add and clarify that I do think a lot of stress and chronic stress or anxiety and anxiety disorder, any mental health condition, trauma, and working through that probably might affect our overall body, our chemistry, our hormones, and growing up with that and experiencing whatever I did definitely probably doesn't help. I think just makes me more stressed than the average bear. It's like a lingering thing. Therapy helps, but it takes time. I've been told many times that slow and steady is the best, especially for losing weight. In the moment, it does feel really slow, but I think the important part is to stay as consistent as possible. Know that it's not going to happen overnight. It might be a question of like the dose that you're taking, or maybe it's not the right medicine for you, maybe you need a different one. I really hope by sharing the story and my progress and my journey and all the pictures, as hard as it is to look back, I know that seeing so many people's journeys and stories has really been so helpful for me. And if you are one of those people, thank you. It just really helped me feel inspired and feel more motivated to continue. It can be really difficult, especially if you really hate shots or giving yourself shots. Injections are not fun. It's okay. But luckily, it is quite small, and when I think about how much I dislike that, I think about how much more I dislike dealing with all the other struggles I have been with my weight. So I feel like it's a small price to pay. If you've been taking these medications, I'd love to hear your story, and if you have any questions, please let me know. If you like this type of content and want to support me, please feel free to subscribe, and I'd really appreciate just all the support. It's really hard to make these videos and to record sometimes. By liking the video and subscribing, it just helps me feel so much more reaffirmed that this is helpful, and that's my most important goal in life, is just to try to help people. I've been through so much and I know it's not really easy to deal with certain things, so I just want everyone to be happy and do their best, and we can all help each other along the way. Yeah, it's so hard sometimes to make these types of videos or just to film. I just get so nervous. Oh, thank you. But also, I would love to be more consistent and to show up for y'all and just continue to express myself. And thank you for watching. I'll catch you later.